Paul Lamar Hunter. How are you doing?
Hey, I am excellent this afternoon, and thank you for letting me come on your show and tell my story of success.
Yeah, well, thanks for reaching out. I didn't know about your story prior to you reaching out, but then, of course, I've been checking you out ever since, and it's a pretty remarkable story. And we were talking a little bit before we started rolling about your appearance on Face the Truth, and with Vivica A. Fox, who I must admit I wouldn't want her to interview me. She just seems to come across with a particular bias and agenda most of the time. So
Well, I understand you, and I'm glad that you watched that segment, because I think I did a good job going up against 5 other women that I believe that was trying to attack me, and I held my own ground. So I give myself a lot of credit, because I did not crumble under pressure at all.
No, you did not. I thought you gave as good as you got, and maybe a little better. Okay, so first, tell us about your book, and then I'm going to ask you some questions about obviously what led to the book, which is obviously your story.
Yes. Well, No Love, No Charity, The Success of the 19th Child was written by me. I wanted to chronicle my life story of being raised in a family of 20 siblings. Let me say this: my mother birthed 21 children by my dad. My mother birthed 21 children by my dad. 17 of us living today, 63 grandchildren, and 87 great-grandchildren. So you have to do the math, and once you break the math down, you will discover that my mother stayed pregnant for 15 years and 9 months. My mother had more championships than Michael Jordan and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, because she stayed pregnant for 15 years. Could you just imagine a woman staying pregnant for 15 years? And I was just doing some research, and I discovered that when a woman has one child, it takes 18 months for that woman to fully recover. Not 6 weeks, but 18 months. Just imagine, back to back to back to back to back. That's a strong woman to do it 15 years in a row. That's very strong. I give a lot of credit to my mom and also my dad, because they grew up in Vicksburg, Mississippi. So they know about hard work. They know about the grind. So, I give them a credit. But I want your viewers and listeners to go out and get the book, No Love, No Charity, The Success of the 19th Child. It is a parenting book. It is an amazing book. It's so amazing that it has also been adapted into a screenplay, and also Tailflick Production did the pitch page, and now they are pitching it to big movie companies. So I am excited, because 2021 and 2022 is going to be an amazing year for Paul Lamar Hunter.
That's great, man. That's good to hear. So we're getting some. I'm getting some feedback here. Maybe if you turn down a little bit.
Okay.
I mean, the volume of what you're listening to.
Okay.
Check.
What about now?
That's a little better.
Okay.
Yeah, that's better. So congratulations on the success with the book, and some of the stuff that looks like it's about to happen over the next couple years. Now, when I was watching the Face the Truth, these other women you were talking about, other than Vivica Fox and the other lady that was from the show, well, it also included 3 of your sisters. How is your relationship now with your sisters, and has it improved since the show? And how do you think that's going to go with this, maybe this movie and and things?
Well, the relationship with my siblings, all of my siblings, it started off rocky, because in my book, I talk about the bad and the good, the relationship with my mom, the relationship with my dad, the relationship with my siblings. I talked about drug abuse in the Hunter family. I talk about alcohol abuse in the Hunter family. I talk about the negative put downs that came and also happened in the Hunter family. I talk about the struggle, financial struggle in the Hunter family. And I also talk about how we were able to survive. So the relationship now with my siblings, since a lot of them had the opportunity to read the book, it has been a blessing, because once they read the book, they were able to purge out a lot of negative things, or things that was stopping them for living a productive life. So the relationship is great, and I'm just thrilled that they had an opportunity to read the book and get some insight, information, and also go out and get help.
That's good. That's good to hear. Sometimes like those kind of shows, they don't care if it helps the family. They're just trying to get people to watch, and so I'm happy to hear that reading the book, that they've been able to read the book, and that's created some healing in your family. Okay, so you're the sole person with a college degree. Is that correct?
Yes, I am the first child out of 21 children. I am the 19th child out of 20 siblings. I'm the first to graduate from college, Upper Iowa University. I have a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration. I graduated in 2012, and I am just thrilled and delighted that I had laid the foundation not only for my siblings, but for my nieces and nephews. As of today, a lot of my nieces and nephews went back to college and received their degrees, all because I laid the foundation. And there's nothing wrong with becoming the first, and I am the first, and that's what it takes.
Yeah, that's great. Often is the case that we as Black people, in particular, it's almost like we need to see somebody else do something that looks like us. We need to see them do it first before we believe that we can do it. And it's unfortunate that that's the case. I understand why that is, but thankfully in your situation, you didn't require that. You didn't require one of your other siblings getting the degree first, and then you're like, oh, you know what? Now I know I can do it. But it just seems like that's what it is, and we have a lot of in our national politics. There's they play a lot of games. There's a lot of empty symbolism. Oh, we had the first Black president, so now you can be the president. See, look, now we got the first Black woman as vice president. Oh, now you can achieve at that level, and I'm more interested in the psychology of a person that didn't require someone else to be the first before they just said, you know what, this is a valuable thing for me to do. Person doesn't need to look like me for me to learn that this is a good thing to do.
Thank you so much for watching my video so far. If you'd like to support, there are several ways to do so below. Also, likes are free. Please comment, share, and subscribe. Now back to the video.
Thing to do, and I'm just going to go out and do this. But unfortunately, like I said, not very many of us have that sort of tenacity and wherewithal, mental toughness, all of that to be able to accomplish. So that's congratulations to you for accomplishing that and being the first. So talk to us a little bit about you've said a few things in general, but maybe give us more of a blow-by-blow how you grew up, and maybe some folks that were in your life that gave you some hope, gave you this idea that you could achieve at that level, that you could be the first to get a college degree in your family.
Well, every morning when we got up, my older siblings would get us up, make sure that we took a bath, took a shower, made sure that we went downstairs, put on our clothes. Also, my older siblings cooked for us breakfast, lunch, dinner. My mom, she worked a part-time job. My dad worked 16 hours a day. He worked 2 jobs to provide for a big family. So anytime you put in the work in the bedroom, you have to put in the work outside of the house. My dad was busy, but on the weekends, he was home. One thing that we did, we prayed together. We did chores together. We did homework together. Our parents was very strict. They made sure that on Wednesdays, we were in Bible study. After Bible study, we were in the choir. On Sundays, my mom and dad would get us up early for church while the older siblings are helping us get dressed. My mom and dad and some of my older siblings were in the kitchen preparing. You remember the movie Soul Food? That's how it was on Sunday in the Hunter family. My mom and dad will cook that soul food. I'm talking about chitlin, pork chops, and macaroni and cheese and ham hocks, and candy yam and sweet potato pie, and potato salad. My mom and dad made sure that they had that meal prepared on Sunday. And we had 2 station wagons, and those 2 station wagons was full to capacity, and we would go to church for about an hour and a half or 2, and then we would come back home, and then we would sit at that table, and we would pray, and then we would eat, and then they would have the television on, watching the Green Bay Packers play football if it was football season. And I have to say this, that all of my siblings are Green Bay Packer fans, and I'm the only 49ers fan in the family. So I can't wait until we play the Packers in week 3.
Yeah, I was about to say something. I was like, wait a minute. One of the pictures that you sent me, it has a 49ers logo in the picture. I was like, wait a minute. That's not a Packers thing. Okay. So one thing that you said, in that Face the Truth was that you had only heard your mother say to you one time that she loved you. Can you talk about that a little bit? It seems harsh. I guess I'll just put it that way.
I have to go to the past,
Okay.
because our past can define us and make us, break us, or it can make us into the person that God created us. So my mother grew up in Vicksburg, Mississippi. My mother watched her cousin get lynched, raped and lynched. My mother watched her cousin get beat up by the KKK. Those adversities and tragedies shaped my mother's mindset. My mother was not a compassionate woman. She wasn't loving. She was the total opposite of my dad. But the past, my mother let the past dictated her future. So she wasn't a perfect mom, but she was the perfect woman that God created to birth 21 children. So she made her mistakes. She wasn't loving. Yeah, she did not tell us that. We did have a great relationship with my mom, but we had an awesome relationship, with my dad. So it was it was just totally different. So my mother, yes, she did not want a lot of my siblings and also me to become successful. And I believe that my grandparents had that same attitude. Now here I am in 2012, I'm about to graduate from college. None of my siblings showed up and my mother did not show up. But I learned that it was my success. It wasn't their success, it was my success. So after graduation, I drove 6 hours back to the state of Wisconsin. And I wanted to take a picture with my mom. And my mom refused to take a picture with me. And I had to take pictures with some of the homeless men and women that was at my mom's shelter. And they were happy. They were delighted. They were, so excited to see me graduate from college. But my mom told me this. She said, son, I'm gonna give you some parenting advice. She said, a child is not supposed to be successful in life. Those words stayed with me, and they continue to stay with me today. And it's like it penetrated my forehead. And I remember asking a mentor, what do you think she mean by that? And I just wanted confirmation. That's it. And he told me, he said, there's two things. Either she was jealous of you, or she didn't want you to surpass her success. And so, when I received those words, I was just taken aback. That's the reason why I'm a man today, and I will be a man tomorrow when I wake up. And those words, yes, they did hurt me, but it made me a man. It made me to become a better Paul Hunter, to strive for excellence. And sometime when you come from a family of 2 or 3 or 4, I come from a family of 20, you're gonna have people that's going to not cheer for you. And so what really helped me and shaped me was men and women in the community, because I saw my teachers, I saw my pastors, I saw successful businessmen and women, and I wanted to be just like them. And I did whatever it took to become successful. My mother at that time, when she said that she loved me, it was in 2015 when she said that. And so it was over the telephone when she said that. And I was on my lunch break when I called her. And we stayed on the phone for 45 minutes. And she said to me that continue to call her. And she told me that she loved me. And I knew that she was sincere when she said it.
Yeah. Well, man, that's tough. That's really tough. I have a degree. I have a couple degrees.
Yeah.
And one of the things that helped me to pursue those degrees was the support that I got from my family. The support I got from my wife is, for this last degree I finished, but the support from, my dad, my mom, my siblings, and certainly folks showed up to the graduation thing, because that's it seems to me that seems to be the part of the role of family. And having a big family, I'm thinking so much the more that you'd have more folks there celebrating. So it is I'm sorry that was the reality, but also congratulations for having done it yourself and not needing that to be able to get that done. There's a lot of dysfunction in our community, and a lot of jealousy, kind of sibling kind of jealousy, a lot of just jealousy amongst black folks in general, because, and part of it I think is because there's so little to go around that it's almost hard not to see someone else's success as somehow taking away from your own. I think that's the way that people see it. And of course that's totally wrong, and it's not true. But, yeah. All right. So you got through college. You finished in 12, and I see, and I'm now just seeing behind you that the O and the stop sign there is a 49ers logo, and then also underneath it says 49ers country. So so you're not kidding when you say that you're a 49ers fan.
I am not kidding. I am a 49ers fan, so I'm getting ready to do some interviews out in San Francisco through Zoom, ABC, Fox, CBS, and we are going to have fun. They are going to interview some of my siblings, and also they're going to interview me because they want to know why I became a 49ers fan. And because I was born in, the state of Wisconsin, I never did like the Green Bay Packers. So I'm a 49ers fan till they put me in the grave.
Well, I can't fault you for not liking the Packers. I grew up in Michigan, and so, the Lions, that has been it's been a rocky relationship between me and the Lions. I mean, I've always been a Lions fan, but they really make you work hard to stay a fan.
Yeah.
And the Packers will always come through and clean our clocks. So I don't like the Packers very much either. Do you think that part of the reason that you decided that the 49ers was going to be your team was maybe because you felt isolated and sort of pursuing something alone?
No, I watched the Packers and the 49ers play in Green Bay. And so my parents used to watch the game. I'm sitting there, couldn't get into it. But I just liked the 49ers at that particular time. And I saw all my siblings around the TV cheering for the Green Bay Packers. I never could cheer for them. But once I saw, Joe Montana, Dwight Clark, them guys, Jerry Rice, Brent Jones, Roger Craig, That's who I fell in love with. Brent Jones, you know what I'm saying? That's who I fell in love with. And I stayed with my 49ers. It's like a bad marriage. You stick with it through the good times and the bad times. But the good times always outweigh the bad times.
Yeah, I know something about that with the staying with them through the good and the bad. Although with the Lions, it's been mostly the bad. And now that Matthew Stafford is playing for another team, I have really, really not very much reason. Yeah.
Well, you tell your Detroit fans that my 49ers will be in town this Sunday, and the storm is coming.
Yeah. Well, I'm in Ohio now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I live in Ohio now, and I was actually born in Ohio.
Okay.
Born in Columbus, and my dad's job moved us up to Eaton Rapids, Michigan, which is kind of I don't know, about six miles south of the house that they still live in is about 6 miles south of Lansing city limits. And so I did all my schooling in Michigan. But I always liked the Buckeyes, Ohio State Buckeyes. I always liked that was always kind of the team. I never really dialed into like Michigan State or U of M. Of course, with the two big teams up in Michigan. But I never really warmed up to them. It was always more a Buckeye kind of thing. So then when I moved back to Columbus, and I always liked the Bengals too. When I was growing up, and I liked the Bengals because of the helmet. Initially, when I was a kid, that helmet, I was like, man, that's the most unusual helmet in the league. And it started with that, and then I started to identify with some of the players and stuff. But and then of course the Browns are in Ohio also, and for the first several years after because I moved back to Columbus in 2004. For the first several years, Cincinnati was definitely a stronger team. But then over this last 5 years or so, the Browns have found something that's working.
Yes, they have.
And now the Bengals are horrible. That is a terrible team. And I think they thought by changing their coach that they were going to somehow have some better fortune, but I mean, it shows you that it wasn't the coach. The Lions did a similar thing. They had who was the coach of the Lions?
The guy from the Patriots. He was the Patriots offensive lineman coach. Yeah.
Yeah. So no, before him, the black guy.
He was from Indiana. I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
I can't think of his name, but they were doing well with him. He's a real quarterback-friendly kind of head coach, and so it was a great relationship with him and Matt Stafford. And then they were like, well, we're just going to go another direction. They bring this other cat in here, Patricia. Bring this cat in here, and they just lay all kind of eggs. They should have kept the other coach, but it seems like the Lions and the Bengals, their front office operates in a similar fashion. It's very short-sighted. They don't have a good long game approach, and it just kind of makes snap decisions or kind of rigid decisions that don't. Yeah, it just doesn't work. I don't think either of them teams are ever going to be any good.
No.
But those are two of the teams that I follow. I've got a NFL Sunday Ticket, and those are two of the teams that records all of those games. And so I think I'm going to be in for a long season. You, on the other hand, I think the 49ers look pretty good.
Yeah, A lot of people have us in the Super Bowl, but we have to play the games. We have to stay healthy. We have to stay focused. We have to continue to be disciplined. You know, if we do what our coaches ask us to do, we'll go out and win the whole thing. This is a revenge tour right now.
Okay, so let me ask you about something. Let's see here. Kaepernick and what was it, Smith? So Kaepernick replaces Smith and the 49ers go to the Super Bowl. They didn't win.
Mm-hmm.
But then the next couple seasons, Kaepernick really never looked like he did getting to the Super Bowl. So do you have a theory on that, on why that is? My thought on it is that the other teams started to devise schemes that were more effective against him. And part of the reason why he was effective prior was because nobody had seen him before. And they didn't know what he was capable of doing. And Smith, I thought, was a safe choice, but he didn't have the big arm and some of the other upside that Kaepernick had. So what are your thoughts on his sort of decline?
Well, Kaepernick, you got to understand, he's from the state of Wisconsin, where I was born. So he's a good guy. He's a good mobile quarterback. I think once they took Jim Harbaugh away from him, I think he decided to. His skills did decline, but he did not have the weapons. He did not have the offensive line. He did not have the tight end. You know, you understand, they took weapons away from him. And so they were able to get to him. Now, when they went on that Super Bowl run, they never got to him. They never got to him at all. He's a good quarterback. He should have been in the league for a very long time, but unfortunately, things had happened. I think that Kaepernick had woke up, and you get some athletes that will sit on the sidelines and will not participate in what's going on in our society, especially when it comes to social justice. They would just sit at home in their 10,000 square feet home, you understand, and won't even say anything because it's not affecting them. So Kaepernick, he's an advocate for social justice and social change, and he's a good advocate for it. I wish he would have stayed longer with the 49ers, but the 49ers did not want him anymore. They released him. I wish another team would have picked him up. I think right now, at his age of 32, 33, I think he's better than some of the backups right now. If you have a solid offensive line and a running back and a tight end and a good defense, you can really do wonders with that. But now he's just enjoying his life. Started his nonprofit organization, Know Your Rights, letting people know that they do have rights. And a lot of people think they don't have rights, but in reality, you do have rights, and you cannot let people take your rights away, especially at the state level.
Yeah. That whole thing didn't have to be. It didn't have to be anything.
No.
All that was necessary from the beginning, and he could have got something more positive out of this whole kind of ripping the country in half whole thing that went down, which still seems kind of surreal and kind of a strange thing to get divided over. That wouldn't have happened. All the league would have had to say is like, look, all they had to do is say, look, we're not gonna allow X, Y, and Z. This is what we're gonna do. If you want to do that, then you can do it this way. And then that was it. And then just basically stand their ground on whatever it was. And then all of that stuff would have blown over in 2 weeks.
Yeah. But Kaepernick and Eric Reed got paid. So the NFL settled with them guys, but they can't talk about the settlement. So
yeah. So all of that stuff is kind of silly, but that seems to be what it is these days. All right, so talk to us a little bit about some of the programs that you've been on. We talked about Face the Truth. You mentioned some of the networks, but maybe talk a little bit about some of the more memorable appearances that you've made. Maybe some that you were like, you had to pinch yourself to,
I think the first show that I did was the Morning Blend, and that was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I really thank them for giving me an opportunity to share my story in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Then from there, the next event that I did was Fox and Friends. That was the first national interview that I had did. They gave me an opportunity to display my story on their network, and also I was able to have my mom on as well. So I began to cultivate relationships with a lot of these networks. Hawaii, I was in Hawaii. I was on a show called Living 808. Once I did that Living 808 talk show, I went the next day to the Boys and Girls Club. I talked to at-risk youth, and I was able to share my personal story of success. Also, I was on a show in Tucson, Arizona, Fox 11. I did that, and I went that day, and I spoke at the Boys and Girls Club in Tucson, Arizona. So every time when I'm doing a television show in that city, I make sure that I stop at the Boys and Girls Club to uplift them, because there's a lot going on in our society, especially kids in the inner city. We don't celebrate successful men and women graduating college in the inner city. Let me say this. A lot of my nieces and nephews went to jail and went to prison, for selling drugs, doing some things they should not have done. Even some of my brothers. But once they got released, they had a big party for them. When I graduated from college, I did not have a party. I did not have a party, my brother. There was no celebration. There was no victory parade for me. It's just totally different. The mindset in the inner city is totally different. We're not gonna celebrate you. We're gonna hate on you because you should not have graduated. So I really learned that about the inner city. For example, it was this guy that he did 30 years in prison and for selling drugs. And so when he got out a year ago, I'm watching it on Facebook. It was like people from everywhere just, celebrating this man getting out of prison, and they just celebrated. It was like a big old parade. It was like a 4th of July parade, celebrating this dope dealer. And, I'm sitting back watching it on Facebook Live and saying to myself, this is the society that we live in. We celebrate failures. We celebrate pimps. We celebrate drug dealers. We celebrate people that went to prison. It's like they went to prison, so they graduated. You see what I'm saying? I go to college. I go to an institution where I had said that I said to myself once I walked in, to this institution, there's only one direction that I can go, and that's up, but they go into a prison institution and serve time and come out, they get all type of recognition, but I don't.
Man, I have to say, that's spot on, in that it goes with a certain narrative, and it is prevalent in the inner city, but it also sort of fits a narrative that is just pretty common. People like a sort of you made a bunch of mistakes, you did a bunch of wrong stuff, and then now you're going to make something of yourself anyway. They like those kind of stories, and because they have a lot of drama, there's like drama and intrigue. There's also this sort of glorification of stuff that shouldn't be glorified, right?
Yes.
So there's also that mixed in there. So you have folks like Jay-Z, who, he was selling drugs and stuff uses the drug money to parlay a hip hop career, is still rapping about, giving you instructions and stuff about how to sell drugs in his music, right? Encouraging folks to do that in his music. And now he's like sitting on $1 billion, $1 billion, right? And everyone is celebrating that whole thing. But we don't see any celebration for folks like my father, for instance, who, he grew up in abject poverty, and if there ever was someone to pull themselves up by their own bootstraps, it was him. Didn't know his dad, and didn't use the same excuses that other folks use. Well, the only option that I had was to sell drugs. Well, the only option I had was to get involved in gangs. Well, the only option that I had, everybody else was doing that, so that I thought that was the thing to do. And I'm not faulting people for that. I'm not faulting people for making mistakes and for not being able to see that there's an out. What I'm faulting is other people glorifying people that made those decisions, screwed everything up for themselves and for their families, rather than looking for some of these boring stories, the ones when people didn't make those they didn't make those mistakes. It was just as hard for them, but they did some other kind of way. Those are the folks that we should be glorifying. Those are the folks that we should be celebrating. And but it's not sexy though.
No, it's not.
It's there's no drama in that. It's like, slug along and work harder than everybody else and struggle and don't make excuses and stuff like that. But that's that ain't the people don't even want to go to the gym consistently to get results. They want to hear the story about you take a pill and sit on the couch and keep eating Krispy Kremes, but the weight just falls off. They prefer that kind of story to the boring story and the struggle story. So yeah. And in general, it seems to me that we just don't celebrate. And I have to look at myself on this too. Sometimes, you can get so busy that you don't take time to celebrate. So a bunch of like positive stuff could be happening, but so much stuff is going on that you can't even take time to sit back and say, you know what, that was really a great accomplishment, or that really was a really positive thing that just happened. I should take some time, acknowledge that happened, celebrate. you know, and if somebody and nobody else will celebrate with you, go celebrate with yourself.
And that's what I had said. I had wrote on a piece of paper that if nobody celebrate with me, I'm going to celebrate by myself.
Yeah. All right. So, okay. So if you could give some advice to, especially to young people, but maybe someone that's maybe a non-traditional person, maybe they're a little older and they're like, you know what, I want to do a degree, but there's just all these obstacles, all this stuff is in the way. Is there some advice that you could give them?
I think the best advice that I can give someone is that you need to block out external distractions. If you want to succeed in life, you need discipline. You need commitment. You need to improve on your communication skills. You need to learn that hard work pays off. Never give up. Think big, speak big, live big, dream big, but never give up. That's the best advice that I can give someone.
And how about the whole the poverty thing? That's a hurdle that most people cannot overcome.
Well, I think that if they want to overcome it, there's nothing wrong with looking back in the past and examining the past. Because I look back at the past, I look back at my failures, and I say why I failed, why I was in poverty. And then I say, okay, these are the reason why I was in poverty. These are the reason why I failed. So I know what I need to do so I will not be in poverty anymore. I know what I need to do so I will not fail anymore. And there's nothing wrong with looking back, but you have to understand, once you look back and you find out why you failed, why you were in poverty, now let's move forward and use the resources that are available in your community. So that's how you break that generational curse. So what, my mama didn't like to read books, but I love to read books. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that you have that disposition. I think it takes that disposition to accomplish what you did. The whole thing that, you know, doesn't matter what somebody else has done or hasn't done, you know, it matters what I do. You know, they might not like that, but I like it. So, okay, let me go that direction. Let me see what that's about. You know, yeah. Well, do you have anything else that you wanna mention or that you'd like to plug?
Yes, I want people to go out and also purchase my mother book, Love and Charity, the life story of Louise Hunter in the Love and Charity Homeless Shelter. Also go out and purchase my book, No Love, No Charity, The Success of the 19th Child. You can visit my website at paullamarhunter.com. I am on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, paullamarhunter.com. If you want to support me, my Cash App is Paul Lamar Hunter. That's what it is, Paul Lamar Hunter. If you want to support me, go to my website and you will see my Cash App there, paullamarhunter.com. And I want to tell every young man and women out there in society that is living in poverty, that may be struggling at this particular time. Keep the hope, keep focus, keep your mind clean, because better days are ahead if you believe that you can achieve.
All right. Well, thanks again for coming on, and I look forward to interacting with you again in the near future. Bring you back on. I've got another another show called Thunder's Thoughts, and I'm developing sort of a panel show, and so I'll be in touch to maybe bring you in on one of those also, if you're into it.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I am.
All right. Well, God bless you, and
All right.
be well.
Okay.